Hello, hello. Hey there, it's Ruben here, Ruben from the Samplecast, and this is my live stream of Electro City by Sample Logic. This is brand new out, it's just been out for a few days, and on the Sample Logic website you can find lots of information about it. You can go down to the link in the description below and scan through to the website. You'll see my videos. Sample Logic asked me to do 3 videos for this: an overview video, a run through of the multis, and also something that's a little bit more in depth. But here in this live stream, I'm just going to go through and show you how the product works, showcase a lot of the sounds. Going to probably spend about an hour or so going through everything, so there'll be a lot of opportunity for you to hear exactly what's going on. And throughout the live stream, I'll probably mention this again in case of latecomers, but throughout the live stream, if you do fancy getting anything from Sample Logic, I've negotiated a sneaky deal with them so that you can get 10% off not just Electro City but also Rhythmology or any other product from them. So you just need to click the link in the description below, head over to the Sample Logic website, have a browse round, and when it comes to checking out, use the code TheSamplecast10. I've got that on the screen just there. Hope everybody can see it and it all makes sense. Anyway, enough blabbering on. Let me get started with Electro City. Now, anyone who's familiar with Sample Logic's previous library, Rhythmology, is going to feel pretty much at home here, although all of the loops and all of the presets have changed. They've constructed over 1,000 new loops and dropped those into this engine. And this engine is basically a 4-core loop player, but there's a lot more to it than that. I'll be going through some of the effects options, and I'll be looking at exactly how Electro City deals with all of the different slices of loops and how it puts the effects on there and flanging and everything like that. You can see the various effects, but for now I'm going to just check out some of the presets. This is the preset browser for the entire instrument, and the instrument is just 1 NKI with everything including the browser on board. So I'm just going to pick a few at random and have a play. Just takes a couple of seconds to load each one up, and then you've got the 4 loop cores here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can play them separately. And different keys, or of course you can play them all together. That was latch mode there, I'll come on to that later. So I'll go through some of these presets. These are the loop core, multi-core presets rather, and it loads up 4 loop cores with all the effects and all of the master effects as well, which again is something that I'll come on to a little bit later. So let's have a play. These are all tempo synced. I'm running at 126 BPM at the minute. Let me know if you can't hear them, or if my voice is too loud or the loops are too quiet. Crazy one. Good name here, Pornhub. One of those loops I used in my intro music that I did for the overview videos. See if you can spot that again later. So I'm just picking ones at random here, based on the names really. But there are many different ways to use the preset browser, so let's have a look at that. First off, you can favourite the presets that you like. You just click the heart icons there, and then ones that you've favorited, you can filter those. So you can select just your favourites, for example. That's a crazy one. And the cool thing about this is actually when you quit the instrument, when you come out of it and then reload it back into Contact, it will remember all your favourites. This is for the multi-core browser and the other browsers that I'll come on to a little bit later. You've also got tags for every single one of these combinations of loops. So let's say, I don't know, let's say we'll have some breakbeats, stuttery breakbeats. See what that comes up with. Definitely stuttery. Cool thing about this is I really, especially when I was putting the videos together, just ended up playing for hours, days actually. So you can filter by any of these tags. Let's have retro vocals. Don't know how many of those there are. Some. They've all got kind of a formant effect. This is one of the differences actually between Electro City and Rhythmology, is that there's a lot more variety in loops. Now, Rhythmology was kind of based around rhythms, hence the name. But as well as rhythms here, you've got lots of different melodic elements. Rhythmology had some, but Electro City's got more. Lots of melodic elements, lots of synths, vocals, that sort of thing. So it's less concentrated on the kind of cinematic side, a little bit more on the hybrid, you know, dance, that sort of thing. So if you click house loops here, you've got so many different house presets. And these are all good kind of track starters really, if you're a bit stuck for ideas. Some of these could be full tracks in their own right just by playing the different loop cores. So I'll run through a couple of the other things that you need to know about the browser while I'm here. You can save and clear, load your own multi-cores as well. The multi-core browser has basically two elements. With everything that you load up with the presets, you've got two elements. Maverick Blue says, reminds me of Korg Wave Station. Yeah, that's kind of true actually. Some of the sounds do on here, definitely. I had a Korg M1 myself, and yeah, some of those really remind me of that sort of synthesis. So you've got two elements, as I say, of the different presets. You've got the loop sources themselves, so this will, if you tick that, it will load up just the sources. So that will load up the individual source sounds. There's over 1,000 of those. And you can also load up just the parameters of the different presets. So that will keep the sources like that and just change the parameters. That's what I'm doing now. Exactly the same sources, loops, 118, 191, 1004. That will remain consistent, but it will change the parameters on each one. And even though I'm using the same 4 loops here, you can tell that because the parameters are changing so much and there's so many effects being thrown at these loops, you get a whole different feel. See, that doesn't sound too much like that. Even though they're just using all the same sources. What's actually changing here is the effects parameters for each one of the loop cores. The various different effects here. I'll come on to that later. But that's basically what's happening. And as I say, you can do it the other way around as well. You can keep the same parameters and you can just change the sources. So let's find a preset with a kind of very distinctive feel in terms of the parameters. Not that one, it's a bit straight. Maybe this one. Okay, and then you can change the loop sources. I'm still sticking with house here. Let's open that up a bit. So it's changing just the source sounds, none of the parameters or effects. That is awesome. Again, very cool. So that is the multi-core browser, which basically loads up absolutely everything. The loop sources, the parameters, the master effects on all of these presets. There's two other different browsers. You can load up an individual preset for each of the loop cores. So you've got those 4 different sources, 4 different loop cores, and you can do that just here. So this is the red one, which is the red key here, loop core 1. And these are presets that it's loading up. So it's loading up the loop sources and will normally load up the parameters as well. And don't forget, I'm just playing one loop core here, the first one. That's quite a good one to demonstrate on, I think. So let's just see what that's doing in terms of the effects. There's a lot of effects being thrown at this. And I could change the actual source sound without changing the parameters. I can either do that by doing it in the browser. You can hear the same pitch. Doesn't matter which loop source you go for, it will still have the same effects and same transposing. Quite a good demo of that. Or I can change the loop itself just here from the 1010. Yep, 1010 loops. Let's have loop 1010. There are all sort of percussion ones up there. What if we wanted to do that with a vocal? Again, with this browser, the loop source browser, you can fill it and favorite as well. So you're not just limited to the thousands of presets that you've got with the various 3 different browsers. You can mix and match. So without even touching those effects, without even touching the master controls or anything like that, or fiddling around with the rearrangement of the loop slices, which I'll come on to again in a minute. There's so much to this product, it's hard to know where to start. Without fiddling around with any of those, you can just transfer the source sounds or the parameters onto different effects. So let's have a look at how each loop core works. And you've got 4 different loop cores here: the red one, the purple one, the blue one, and the cyan one as well. You play those individually on the keys here. But you can play them all together with the C key. So, what's a good one to demonstrate on? Maybe this one actually, loop core 4. When I was doing the videos, I always tend to go for 1, but they all work in the same way, so let's show you exactly what's happening. So, the straight up loop without any effects, just turn all the effects off. I'll have to go into mixing and mastering and turn that off as well. Let's do that. Let's just hear what the straight up sound is like on its own. If it will play it. Oh, just disabled it. Let's try that again. That's what it sounds like. And that's just playing through each of these sound sources is split into slices, so you've got 16 slices for each. You can see them there. But the slices can be rearranged, they can be turned on and off. So you could do this, for example. That's on, that's off. Might choose a different loop core actually, that's not giving a great impression. Want something that's very obviously different as it goes along. That one's quite good. Just going to turn that up so you can hear it. Tell me if it's too loud. Gosh, loads of messages coming in. Let me just read it. There we go. So yeah, on and off. Let's just turn them all on for a minute. 16 steps for each. Pretty cool. The steps, you can adjust the order of them as well. At the moment they play in the normal order, so step 1 plays slice 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Pretty standard, but we could do any one of these presets here, or we can actually manually change the order ourselves. It is very trancy. Or what if they were all the same? And you can play forwards, backwards, you can do a kind of ping pong effect. That's forward. That's backwards. Just be aware it doesn't play the sample in reverse. All it does is actually move the position of the slices so that it plays from the position here to the position there if it's backwards. Ping pong is this. And new for Electro City, you can actually see which portion of the slice you're dealing with. So when you get to the first position here and it says I want to play slice number 6 and then slice number 10, the little highlight here will show slice 6, slice 10. It's quite a good one. See that little highlighted box shifting around there? Now that's playing those different slices depending on what numbers you've put in here to play those individual slices. Again, as I say, you can turn them on and off. Or you can tell any one of the loops to play through for a certain number of times, from 1 all the way up to, I think it's 16? Yeah, it is 16. So you could just, maybe you want to knock that down and just have like a trance bass line or something. You could do that. You could do 4 repetitions. And then it stops, and then next time you press, again, then it stops. So imagine that with a big reverb on it or something. Actually, we don't have to imagine, we could do that ourselves. Stick a massive reverb on. Turn it on, might help. Ooh, that reverb is a bit too big. Or maybe we just want to affect that last one with some delay as well. Let's get that delay going. Nice and long. Yeah, kind of works. I'll get into this effects later on, but that's just some of the kind of versatile stuff you can do just with the loop cores and the different slices themselves. Some questions here. Sidechain options available. Now, sidechaining, I know obviously it's something that I do a lot when I'm writing dance music. You could actually use the master effect as a kind of a sidechain here. Not something that I went into in any of the demonstrations, but I'll show you how to do that since somebody actually asked that question on YouTube. What you've got in the master effects, I'll leave the normal effects. See, this is why it's good having the Q&A, because people can actually ask, and I'll show you how to do it. Sample Logic say, not in a conventional way, yes, but you can do it in an unconventional way, and I did do that on my demo track. So you've got here in the Master Effects attack and decay options for the individual slices. So if you adjust the attack, you do get a kind of a sidechain effect, because it's actually starting the loop slice playing at 0 volume and then ramping it up depending on how far you have that value set on attack. Or of course you can do it in your DAW. So if you were to do that with all the attack slices, yeah, I messed it up now. Let me just reset. Hold on. Have you got sound at that end? All you streamers, have you got sound, or is it cut out? Because I can't hear it on my end. I'm not sure why. Let me just have a fiddle about with my options. 1 second. Let me see. So apparently you can hear me, but I can't hear me. That's very strange. Ah, I'm back. I've got it back. Cool. Right, so anyway, enough chat about the sidechain. Thank goodness for that. It sorted itself out. Trouble is, I've got loads of things streaming here. I've got the 2 web cameras, I've got contact streaming as well, and it's all done in 1080 HP, so... Right. Okay, so I'm going to get back onto these loop cores. That's basically the gist of what you need to know about how the loop cores operate. The slices, all of these sources are split into slices. You can play the slices in whatever order you want. And there's presets actually for different slice patterns. That one's a crazy one. There's also presets for the on and off buttons, just to save you having to do it yourself, really, if there's something common that you need to do each time. That wasn't Sample Logic calling me. That was the gremlins in my machine. So I'm going to choose, let's choose something that we can play around with nicely. Use a vocal, actually. Let me use a vocal. Find a nice one. Yeah, maybe that one. So, the whole vocal is this. Oh, let's not play it backwards. Hey, Frank. So, that's the vocal. You've got various effects then that you can add to this. There's 2 different effects racks. 2 different effects racks for each of the loop cores. I'm going to deal with this loop core 1. First off, you've got 16 slices, exactly the same as you've got with the playback. Volume, panning, transposing, stutter, and reverse. Volume is obvious. You can draw it in yourself. Or you can choose the presets, 17 different volume presets. Panning's the same, left to right. Going to choose another loop. can see how that works, the panning. You've got presets for those as well. I'll come on to transpose in a minute because that's a little bit new for Electro City. You've got stuttering as well. You can just literally turn on and off the stuttering controls, or you can adjust it with the presets. Various different presets there. And you've got reversing as well. Works the same way as the stuttering. Just turn the stuttering off so you can hear it. Gives a nice effect. Transposing. Because Electro City has got more kind of tonal content than Rhythmology, the transposing has been overhauled a little bit, which I'll get on to now. So basically you've got different options. You can change each loop slice up and down 12 semitones, so you've got 2 octaves in total. And you've also got presets. Sounds totally weird there. But as well as those 11 presets, you've also got some very easy ways to transpose the entire loop core pitch up or down. Literally just choose it on the menu there, or you can scroll with these arrows. Find another tonal one. Is it suitable for progressive house? Yes, it's definitely suitable for progressive house. I would say it's useful for all sorts of different genres, mainly because you can use such a wide variety of effects, and you can also change the BPM in your DAW, and Sample Logic's Electro City, that will move the loop slices and adjust things around depending on what tempo you're at. So you could even go up to like drum and bass speed, 180 BPM if you want. Dennis, can you adjust the stutter frequency? No, you can't. It is set as a kind of a... It's not quite like in time, the stutter, and that's what I think makes it sound pretty cool. It's if you ever listen to any music by BT, it's just that sort of glitch effect that it gives. Of course, you could always just export the loops, and then you could start repeating it in your DAW, you know, chopping bits in and out. That's your best bet if you want any sort of like complicated stuttering. So those are the static effects. Now the difference between the static effects and what are called the dynamic effects, which are the ones down here for the loop core, the static effects all run in time with the loop slices. So position number 1 for stuttering will relate to position number 1 on the loop slice playback. You see it always follows, and it doesn't matter where the slices are for those loops. It'll always follow. That is different for the dynamic effects at the bottom here. You can run these dynamic effects at pretty much whatever speed you want. So you could run through the whole matrix here at 64th divisions. You can see it running very quickly there. Or you can do it at half a bar, so it runs very slowly. In the case of this loop, it's exactly the same as the top, so you can match them up if you want to. We can do it even slower than that. So that gives some interesting effects. And I guess if you wanted to kind of create a stutter effect with these dynamic effects, you could do that in a kind of roundabout way. It's probably more effort than it's worth. You should probably just export it and start to do it in your DAW, but I'll show you how these work. So there's loads of different effects, not sure how many, maybe 20 there, something like that. You've got low pass filter, high pass filter, formant effects for making things sound like somebody's saying them. You've got vowel effects, which is kind of similar, EQ, compression, saturation, tape saturation, screamer, lo-fi, cabinet effect, a twang, which is another guitar effect, rotator, that kind of cabinet, stereo spread, delay, chorus, flanger, reverb, transient adjustments. You've got the simple high pass and low pass cut-offs as well, tonal delay, and pitch shifting. Let's have a little play with some of these. So you can turn each of these 6 effects on and off here, and you can assign any one to any one of those slots. So I'm going to try and do something with something obvious so you can hear it. Let's go screamer. See how it's switching it on and off at a different speed to the static effects. It's running at twice the speed, so you could do, and that would actually be kind of cool for sort of gating effects maybe. That's just one effect. You can add up to 6, and of course you can put all the static effects in there as well. You can see already how this is starting to build a really simple loop core sound into something that's very expressive with loads of effects. Let's add something else. Stereo spread. And that only works if you have some on and some off. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually adjusting the parameters of those individual effects. So if you click on these arrows here, you can go through all the individual effects that I've got selected, and you can adjust the parameters super quickly and easily. And the knob that's highlighted, which you'll see here, so dry and wet for reverb, for example, drive for screamer, that is the one that's affected by these on and off switches here. And there's a whole nother level to this that I'll come on into a sec, but that is what's happening. So dry and wet for reverb, for example, so you could do like off, 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 on, off, 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 no, off, 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 on. See if that works. Size. Running a bit fast to hear that, I think. So much stuff going on, you know, you kind of lose the effects in amongst each other, which is a great kind of vibe. So that is one aspect of the dynamic effects, but you have got a whole new level of this as well, because you can not only just turn those effects on and off, you've also got the ability to move through different parameters, move through different values of that parameter. So let's say, for example, with the lo-fi, let's just turn the lo-fi on. You've got sample rate linked to normally just linked on to on and off. So you could do this. Let's make it really obvious. Hang on, not that obvious. So that's on, off, on, off. Now, what if we wanted to increase that slowly as we go through? Now that is completely possible. Just click this little levels icon here, and then you can draw on the values that you want to use for each of those steps. So we'll turn all the steps on. Of course, you can turn them on and off as well as doing this. And we've got presets for all of these as well. Let's do this. See what's happening there? It's actually bringing you a whole new level of control. So you can adjust that sample rate. I want to try it on something else. A bit fed up with that loop. Nice. adjust the order of the slices. Very cool. So you can set your own effects. Super easy to do that, super easy to control. Just flick into there and then you'll be able to adjust pretty much absolutely everything, not just the on and off effect, but also the other aspects of the different effects which are not directly linked to the dynamic matrix here. You've also, if you're feeling lazy, got a whole bunch of presets as well, which affect all of the different who programmed this? Affect all of the different dynamic effects, or you've got ones for the static effects as well. And of course, this is aside from all of those loop core, multi-core, and loop presets that you've got in the browser as well, which I touched on at the beginning. You can also load those parameters. So presets wise, I mean, this is huge. You've got so many different ways to just click and find something lovely and tasty to play, whether it's either on the actual effects, static effects and dynamic effects menus themselves, or whether it's just pulling in those parameters from the presets that Sample Logic have already done, and there's thousands of those. It's pretty cool. And don't forget there that I was only really just playing with loop core 1. You've got 4 loop cores that you can do that with, so you can spend hours and hours if you want to adjusting, or you can just load up some of those presets and go for it. Thanks for all the comments, everybody. Really interesting. Sample Logic's jumped onto the YouTube feed as well, I can see, and commenting as well and answering some of your questions. That's pretty cool. Don't forget about the voucher code. If you're looking at this online and you were thinking about picking it up, if you were checking out Electro City or any of the other Sample Logic products that are out there, during this podcast, I think I'm doing the Samplecast, during this live stream, you can get 10% off, which is over and above the intro price. The intro price for Electro City is $199, but you can get that for $179 with 10% off, plus as well anything else you want to add onto your basket from Sample Logic, or even if you're not interested in Electro City, do check out the website. So, where shall I take you now? Maybe the randomization. Let's have a look at the randomization, because that kind of leads on from the loop source and parameters and the effects that I've been looking at. Now, when I was doing the videos for Rhythmology, I was pretty much blown away by the randomization options there. The flexibility that you've got here to kind of keep some parameters and change other parameters completely randomly is huge. So randomization happens here. You open up the menu where you can click randomization there and it will change everything automatically, but click the menu here and you're able to tell Electro City what you want to randomize and what you want to keep. So let's say, for example, we want to keep all of these loop sources as random as they are. We want to keep those, so we'll leave that unchecked, but we want to change the effects, we want to change the stuttering, we want to change the panning, the panorama, and we want to change the reverse. We want to randomize those and choose something that we like, so we just click those, click random, try again, get a slightly different effect each time. Loop pattern and loop steps, you can add that into the mix. And for craziness sake, let's add transposing, although I'll warn you now, this is probably going to sound very odd. And every time we randomize just those things which we've selected. Let's go back to normal because it's got a bit too crazy. You can click this and it will reset the patch back to standard. Believe it or not, that's what we actually started with. Crazy. Let's choose a different one. Nice sort of electro feel. Randomize this time let's randomize the actual loop sources themselves, so the sounds. Cheers, David. Thank you. We'll loop this. We'll randomize the sounds, but we'll keep everything else the same. So just the loop sources. Randomize. And you can see there what's going on with the randomization. Everything else is staying the same, but we're just touching the loop sources. If we want to throw some effects onto there as well, randomize the effects chain, or we can randomize the loop core as well, which is the entire loop core, including all the effects of the sounds and the effects. I don't know how long you could play to find inspiration for tracks and things like that. It's just never ending, really. You can also set the randomization to trigger a new sequence of randomization events every time it plays through the loops. So you can't do that with loop sources, cores, or effects chains, because that would change the entirety of what the loop sounded like. But you can do it with stuttering, reverse, volume, panorama, basically all of these that are lit here in the light color, dark light. So just for fun, let's do all of them, and we'll randomize play, so that every time the loop cores play round, it will choose new volume, panning, transpose, and all these other elements. Let's go. You'll see it change as the loops go round. Let's choose a new loop core. Because it's doing the steps and pattern, we're not hearing all of the different steps. Got some more questions coming up. Do a continuous block of reverse. Do reverse audio. Oh, someone's asking about the reversing. Yeah, the reverse reverses one loop slice at a time. And Sample Logic's just answered that for me. Thank you, guys. Doing my job for me. Cheers. So that's randomization. I could go into randomization for the whole of this live stream and still, kind of not be able to cover absolutely everything it does, because it's just so flexible. It's so flexible. But I'm going to leave random play off for the moment and work with some of the presets that we've got, because Sample Logic have expertly designed those. So I'm going to cover playback pages, and this is a question that a lot of people did actually send me when Rhythmology came out, because I don't think people kind of completely understood how the playback pages were working. They were loading up an instance of Rhythmology and going, oh well, that's really good for the one key or the combination of the 4 different loops. But what if we want to transpose up and down whilst we play? Or what if we want, some elements dipping in and out, or we want some version that's stuttered, some version that's not? It's possible to do, and it's really easy to do. So far, we've only been using playback page A. So we can have up to 4 playback pages, and these are on the keys just here at the bottom of the keyboard, just here. Let's put in 4 playback pages, playback page B, C, and D, and we can copy and paste the different parameters from those pages. So look at the difference here with loop core 2 between A and B. We can copy that, A, paste onto B, there we go, done. So you've got 4 playback pages here that, let's start with them all the same. and you can probably guess where we're going with this. The playback pages can be adjusted in many different ways. You can pretty much, go into here, adjust all of the different effects, adjust the transposing, you can adjust the order that things are played, the stuttering, the reverse, and everything, and it will save those parameters and save those effects on the playback pages. Excuse me 1 second. All this chatting late at night is killing my throat. So this is playback page A, B, which is currently the same, but for B, let's make some changes. Just random preset changes, just for fun. So now we've got playback page A that sounds like this, and B. And we can flick between those on the fly. Let's make it sound a bit even more different. Let's do a transpose on B. No, on A. And we'll need to transpose a few different things. Loop cores 1 and 2. And we're going up. Just check out how that sounds. Okay, cool, we got it. So, let's say we wanted to change keys in a song. We use playback pages A and B, and we can do that because we've adjusted the transpose on each of these. See how that works? Flicking between A and B, and of course you've got 4 playback pages here, C and D as well. Loads of adjustments you can make here. Pretty much everything on any of these loop cores can be specified just for playback pages A, B, C, D. A couple of questions about playback pages. Looks like the playback pages thing answers my question. If you made a playback page with just a solid hit to end, and then switch to just as you get to the end. Yeah, you could do that. You could literally just pull, playback page C, for example. You could just pull it down to 1 step, and that could be your end hit. It will be your end hit if you select to play through just once. There we go. And then you get all the tails, all the reverb, stuff like that. Hopefully that answers your question, David. Cool. So those are playback pages. Next up, mixing and mastering. This is a whole different section of the interface. And you've got a lot of different effects here that are basically layered on after the loop cores and the static effects and the dynamic effects have done their thing. I'm just going to use, I think, one sound, one loop core to demonstrate this. Oh, this is quite good. Just a normal beat. Loop core 1. Let me just come out of this and make sure I remove. By the way, you can command click any of these to turn them all on and off, which is kind of handy. Cool. Basic beat, super basic, but we're going to use that to demonstrate what the mixing and mastering pages do. So you've got volume here. You can turn on and off, muting. Left and right, panning. Energizer, which gives a bit of saturation, a bit of sort of high-end oomph. I'm just going to turn off the other effects as well, so you can hear that. Don't worry about the stuttering. I think my system's falling over because I'm trying to do too many things here. Slice attack will, well, I've kind of covered that already. That is the attack bit of the transient. Decay is like a sort of a gating effect. You can hear that. velocity to intensity, that is dependent on how hard you hit the keyboard. You've got, if you bring it down to nothing, it doesn't matter what velocity you play, it will always play at full volume. If you push it up to max, you've got a whole dynamic velocity curve. You can hear me hammering my keyboard there, sorry about that. You've also got some EQ presets. You can give a mid boost, thickness, notch filter, that sort of thing. Somebody's commenting. Just tweak a bit on the presets to get where I hear. As many Sample Logic products, this one makes you want to dig a little deeper. It's inspired some good ideas this week. Cool, that's good to know, John. And also really awesome that you're kind of tuning in to see what I'm doing, even though you've already got it. That's excellent. I love that. Hopefully you can get something out of this. Can you automate those parameters? The master parameters, no, you can't. But a lot of these are duplicated in the dynamic effects. Of course, you've got all sorts of different filters and things like that. These are the ones for automation, and that's what you'll do with the the dynamic automation like that. You won't do that on the mixing mastering. Mixing mastering page is for after the effects have been automated, basically. So those are the 4 loop cores, and they've all got the same different mastering effects on there. Now you've got a whole other section of effects that don't affect the individual loop cores, it just affects the entire signal afterwards. This is the master effects chain at the bottom, and you can add pretty much the same effects that you've got in the dynamic effects options back in the loop core pages, but these will change the sound of the entire instance of Electro City. And these are hot swappable. You can make them whatever you want. And there's also a whole bunch of presets. Good point, Sample Logic. Yes, you can right click and assign anything you want to. Could do that actually. Should we do that? Yeah, let's do that with the delays. This is something I haven't experimented with before, so let's see if it all goes wrong. So yeah, I've got my mod wheel controlling the slice decay, so you could sort of introduce some gating. That sounds very cool. Sample Logic, you are geniuses for suggesting that. I'm totally going to try that. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, you can automate anything. You know what? It's so crazy because a lot of contact instruments I will do right click and assign to automate stuff. It's just that I never really thought about doing it in Electro City because everything's kind of there that you want to automate. So yeah, starting to gush about this a bit too much now. I think really loving it. I want to try that with different things now. I wonder if that still works when you change. Yeah, look at that. You can change presets and it still works. Very cool. Very cool. I'm loving it. I want to find a really nice kind of jangly piano one to try that on. Oh, yeah, pianos. Of course I can. I can select by keyboards, use that tag filtering. Is there piano on there? No, but let's do house, keyboard house. That's the kind of style that I like. Oh, listen to that. And use that gating. Very cool. Sample Logic just mentioned as well that you've got controls. If you've got a complete control keyboard, you've got all these different controls that are automatically assigned to the dials as well. So you can actually, not that I've experimented with this too much, but you can adjust things on the fly as you go. So you've got, see for example, you've got the panning there on loop 1, volume and panning. You know, you could loop 2. Someone's asking, can you change the key of the loops easily? Yes, you can. I've covered that already. Have a check out the replay, but basically you do that on the transposing controls here. So yeah, you've got all those controls mapped already. Thank goodness I've got a complete control keyboard, because I am going to rinse this and play with it so much. So, yeah, I think I pretty much covered a lot of the, I was about to say basic, but there's nothing basic about it, the elements of Electro City, and yeah, maybe answered some of the questions as well, and been able to demonstrate some of the things that perhaps I haven't demonstrated before in either the walkthrough videos that I've done for Sample Logic or previous live streams for Rhythmology or any of the other things that they've done. So it's really fun. I mean, I love playing with it. I jumped at the chance to do another set of videos for Sample Logic, and I just spent days going through the presets and fiddling about. If you're writing any kind of hybrid music or cinematic, you can coax a lot of things from these loops, because the loops themselves are very functional, very useful, but they are basic. Once you start to throw all of those effects on there, start to use the parameters and change the loop sources, you've really got all sorts of things that you can do. Action-packed sort of percussion, all the way through to psytrance, EDM, prog house that somebody suggested earlier on. Depends what you want to use it for, and how creative you want to get, and really how deep you want to get. You can start using those presets straight away. Start using the processes and the functions that Sample Logic have put into place. You can either use the presets for those, the effects presets and things like that, or you can get in there, start to get really juicy, and really edit those yourself and start to get in super deep. You know how it works. So yeah, I'm going to finish off maybe just by playing through a few more of the presets. There's a whole video on the Sample Logic website that I did where I spend, I think, about 8 to 10 minutes or something just going through some of the presets and showing how these can be manipulated. But yeah, it's something that I'm enjoying playing with, and it's crept into a few tracks that I've done recently, even though I've been on a break from the Samplecast show. It's definitely something that I've enjoyed using, and cool that the Samplecast have done a discount, especially for cool that Sample Logic have done a discount for Samplecast viewers. So yeah, if you're wanting to use that, do click on the link for the description of this video below. It will take you over to the Sample Logic website. Then you'll be able to use the code TheSamplecast10 and get 10% off everything from Sample Logic, including this new product, which is already discounted by $100 anyway. So yeah, I'm going to switch off my mic and say goodbye to everybody. If you want to see more of exactly what I do check out the Samplecast each week. That'll be returning, fingers crossed, if I can pull myself together. Should be returning this week. It's a weekly podcast and YouTube show for Sample Library fans, plug-in enthusiasts, and anyone that loves sort of toys that make noise. And I do stuff like this on a regular basis on the Samplecast show. live streams. The podcast is there as well. I'm a busy bunny with all of that sort of stuff. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and thanks for all the comments and questions. And yeah, some of you even made me think about, how I'm going to use Electro City in a different way. So it's been super useful for me as well. More information about the show and the stuff that I do, as I say, thesamplecast.com. Head on over to the Electro City page on the Sample Logic website. Use that discount code if you fancy picking it up. I'm going to let Sample Logic leave that live, hopefully for another couple of hours. I'll see if I can twist their arm. It was only supposed to be for while this live stream is on. But yeah, do use the code within the next couple of hours, because I know that's going to expire. But aside from that, thank you so much for everybody for joining us. Thanks for all the questions. Everybody that I know, everybody that's new to me on here, there's a few new faces. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I'm going to switch off the mic and play you out with a few of the presets. See you soon.